Okay. Hello, Scoobies. But that's loud enough. Okay. I'm gonna go over what we would do together in class today. That way you're not totally lost or confused. I'm gonna go over the PowerPoint here, the slides that we would have talked about together. Every little detail you need to know is going to be in this video. So please, please, please make sure you pay attention to it. If something is not making sense, I just recommend watching the video all the way through. That way you are not lost in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Today, what you're going to be doing is you're going to pick out your images that you would like to potentially use for the project. Okay, the low poly project. Then you are going to narrow it down. Then you're going to print down your final version and practice low poly. There will be a second video posted that goes over exactly what you need to do to create a good low poly image and how you need to break it up. Okay, so please watch this video, do everything I'm talking about in here, and then watch that video and you will follow along with your printed images. Okay. There are areas on Schoology where you need to submit some of these things. Okay. If you did not finish your low poly artist research, please get that done sometime this weekend and turn it in. Today, you'll be doing the low poly discussion board, which is where you will narrow it down. And then you will do the low poly practice image. I want to see you submit your practice. Okay, that is what this is. All right. On Schoology, if you are looking for all these items, it is under the low poly project folder. Click in there. This folder was from Wednesday, where you did the research, right? You made that little poster either on Canva or Adobe Express, and you submitted it here with the accordion information. Today, you need to be in this folder, okay, where you will submit your reference image and do your low poly practice. The videos will be in here, all right, and they will be lined up in chronological order. So when you are in here, just complete everything in the order that it is listed, okay? Those videos will be in here. The discussion board is right here. The instructions are listed on it, okay? You need to have all of this stuff, and I'm going to go over that again here in just a second. Oops, I went all the way back out. And then you need to submit your low poly practice image to this assignment here, all right? So everything is here in the low poly folder, in the reference image and submission for that low poly practice folder. All right. So we went over all of these slides together on Wednesday. If you were not here, you need to kind of look over slides 1 through 15. Number 15 is what we did in class together. An example here, and it's that first purple folder on Schoology under low poly. For the project, you need to pick either to make your image in portrait or landscape. We've talked about these words before in class, right? Portrait usually is a work of art that represents a person, and it is long vertically, okay? So it's going up vertically. Landscape is the exact opposite. It is long horizontally, usually of landscapes. It can be other things, though. It could be a car, it could be a boat, anything that is usually long going this way. Okay, so you will have to pick between portrait or landscape. Just because you are picking landscape does not mean you have to do a landscape, okay? You could do a car if you wanted to do a car here. You do not have to do a landscape. The word orientation refers to both of these, okay? It's just the direction that your artboard will be oriented. So it may be oriented in portrait mode, or it may be oriented in landscape mode. That is how this relates to our project. You will need to pick one or the other for the project, okay? You will need to pick a subject, okay? So I told you Wednesday that I'm going to do my best to persuade you not to do a landscape because the details get really, really tricky I don't want you to be focused in on a million different details. I want you to focus in on a subject. So one easily identifiable subject. It's usually in the foreground. So over here, we have the apples. We can have multiple subjects, right? They're all in the foreground here. If you do multiple subjects, try to keep it to a minimum. Don't do like 15 different giraffes in the foreground, okay? It's better to have one. So Mona Lisa over here is our subject in the foreground, and this one is the flowers, right? Way too many flowers. I would not do an image like this for your low poly project. If you want to do flowers, I would zoom in on just a couple, okay? This is pretty detailed. So you will need to pick a subject that you're wanting to focus on. Try to keep your subject in the foreground, like this left image and this right image. Avoid doing something crazy like this. Profile just refers to the side of a face. So if you're doing a portrait of a person, you can do a profile. It is just harder to do. So I also try to steer people away from doing a profile. If your heart is set on it, of course we can make it happen. But I always try to kind of pivot people to doing just the head-on portrait if you're doing a person, okay? Profile is a possibility, but if you feel like you may struggle or you have struggled in this class, this may be something you want to steer away from. Keep in mind, again, that if you pick an image with a lot of detail, it's gonna be crazy. So you are probably gonna want to steer away from that. Remember, the landscapes on the right here is a landscape that someone tried to conquer a couple semesters ago. It is hard to tell what the heck is happening in this landscape. One, because they did not break it up into enough detail, and two, because there was too much happening. There wasn't one or two main subjects. There was a lot happening in the middle ground, a lot happening in the foreground and in the background, and they just kind of didn't know how to handle it because there was so much happening, right? So be careful with the landscapes. Try to pick something where maybe there's a tree in the foreground or a flower or something in the foreground, okay? Try to just pick one subject. Landscapes can be very scary and end up looking like a chaotic triangle mess. This one's a lot better, right? A little bit hard to see unless you're far away. It is a snake on a log. Again, they could have gone in and added a little bit more detail to the snake. But for the most part, I feel like they rendered it fairly well, okay? With that being said, there can be a lack of detail because of an overwhelming amount of things that they were trying to capture in the image, but there can also be a point to where it's too much detail. This is not low poly, okay? Low poly means a low number of polygons. This is a ton of triangles, and it's beautiful, right? It's very, very nice. Lovely print. They spent hours doing this, okay? I am also going to steer you away from doing this. This is way too much work. You will not have enough time in class to complete something of this degree, okay? We are focused on a low number of polygons. That doesn't mean to do like 4 giant triangles, obviously, because then you couldn't capture anything in there. But this is an insane amount. I would also consider this high poly. This is high poly. Both of these were done in class, completed in class. If you feel like your skill set is a little bit advanced, you usually get done with the project maybe a day before everybody else. You can shoot for a higher number of polygons if you would like to. But again, you know your work, and you know your ability. Don't swamp yourself with something like this if you know you're not capable of hitting this many polygons, all right? Looks pretty cool, but it may not be achievable. What I would like you to do today in class is the first part of this, see how it says day 2, part 1. There are a couple more parts to this. There's a part 2, and where is it at? And a part 3, all the way down there. So the first part of today is you need to create a folder within your digital design folder that is hopefully inside your OneDrive, okay? And I want you to save some images. You need to save 3 landscape-oriented images. Remember, it does not have to be a landscape. Down here I have the car, and save 3 portrait-oriented images. And this does not have to be a person for the portrait. It could be a camera, a cat, fruit, what have you. You must use real images unless I approve it otherwise, okay? If you use an image that is not real, might be super flat and not have enough value to it. So look for real images, okay? Look for real images. So if you want to pause the video here to save your images, you can create a folder in your OneDrive, in your digital design. Remember, you click on home. Once you're in there, the folder, tell it low poly. Whoa, you type here. And then you can start saving images to there. So maybe I want a portrait of a strawberry. Click into here. Gonna look and see what images there are. And I can start saving them. So I can hit save image as, make sure it is a PNG or a JPEG. And I'm gonna click into my OneDrive, into that digital design, into my low poly folder. I'm gonna rename it so that way I know what it is. Strawberry portrait. Save. So you need to have 3 landscape-oriented images, so long horizontally, and 3 portrait-oriented images, long vertically. If you're nervous about going ahead and saving images, you can stay and listen to me talk a little bit more about some other things, okay? It may help you hearing more about value while looking at images too. So if you're not ready to pause and do that yet, feel free to stick around, okay? While you're picking images, if you're still here looking, it's a good idea to keep in mind the background, foreground, and middle ground. So remember, the foreground is the area closest to us. It's right up front. Middle ground is in the middle, and the background is the furthest away from us in the back. We, for the project, kind of want to eliminate the middle ground. Okay, we don't want to get too much detail in there, and we would like to have a simple background. We want most of our detail to be in the foreground based on a subject. Oops, that's not the right side. Based on a subject, okay? So if you look at these images, there's not really a middle ground in either of them. We have foreground, subject, and then the background. That is the goal. It will be much easier if you do it that way and eliminate the middle ground, focus on the foreground, focus on a subject, less detail in the background. I'm going to come back to that. I'm also going to come back to that. And I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to talk about value really quick. Another thing to keep in mind while you're looking for images or photos is value, okay? How light or dark a given hue, which just means color, right, can be. You need to look for an image with multiple values, okay? Whether that be black and white or in color, you want to look for more than just a couple different colors. So if we're looking at this image here, girl in a pearl earring, we can see that this little blue portion of her headdress has lighter tints of blue. They have some of those mid tints of blue. Maybe this is the main hue of blue here, and we have some darker shades. Her face also has some lighter tints of tan, some darker shades of tan, and then just some other values of tan within her cheek, down here on her chin. Her mouth even has a couple different values of like a pinker or a red color. Her shirt has lots of different values, right? It's not just one flat color. So when you are image hunting, you want to look for an image that has good values, a couple different colors happening, some highlights, some lowlights. Don't pick an image with really flat colors unless it's in the background. Your subject needs to have a good wide variety of values. And again, keep looking for those tints and shades, the darker here in the headdress, here back here, any of those shadows. All right. And that's also what this is saying. Look for highlights and look for those shadows, the low lights. That is going to help you make a very dynamic image. The more color, the more value your image has, the better off you are going to be. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go back up. So now, if you haven't done this already, go ahead, create that folder, and start saving images to it. 3 landscape and 3 portrait. After you do that, you are going to post on the low poly discussion board on Schoology. So I hop to Schoology, go all the way back out for you here, look into the project folder, and click into the folder here. Go to the discussion board. I have everything listed here that you need to do. You need to upload 2 landscape-oriented images, all right? So I had you save 3 of each. You on your own are going to eliminate 1. You're like, nah, I don't really want to do this. Pick 2 from the 3 that you had saved, and you're going to upload them here. You need to pick 2 from the 3 that you saved of your portrait-oriented images. Upload them here. You need to respond to 2 different posts, okay? So as people start posting their images here, you need to keep watching and respond to 2 different posts. You need to comment to them which image, you're just commenting about 1 image, you feel like would work the best for their project and tell them why. Okay. So maybe the strawberry is one of their images and you're like, I feel like the strawberry would work the best because it's got a good range of values. We have a lighter tint, a highlight here on the strawberry, an even lighter tint for the highlight up here. We have a good red value, red hue here. Some darker shades of red happening. We have a darker shade for the shadow happening, and even the green on the stem here. We have a lighter tint of green heading into some darker shades. So maybe you feel like it's working well because of the value. Maybe you feel like it's working well because of the shapes. So this is a pretty clean cut shape that they're going to be able to use and cut from. Okay, we don't want there to be any blurry shapes that we're going to be like, well, what the heck is happening? It's better to have blurry things into the background. The foreground information we want to be pretty crisp and clear. Okay, pretty crisp and clear. So we could do this guy and kind of blur out the background information. So you need to respond to 2 different posts. Tell them what image you feel like would be the winner for this project and why. Please do not comment on a post that already has 2 comments. Respond to somebody who maybe only has 1 comment or no comments. All right. Do not comment on a post that already has 2. If you are adding images in here, so 2 and 2, 4 in total, you can add them here because you have them saved, right, in your file explorer. Or if it's easier for you, you can copy, oops, and then Control V to paste, and it will paste in there, right? You just have to make sure it is, in fact, an image. So once you post on Schoology, you can consider all these different things that we just talked about. Consider the background, consider the values, consider the shapes of it. Make sure you respond to 2 different people and tell them why. Okay, tell them why. When you get 2 comments back on your post, so you've posted in here, 2 people have told you, I feel like you should do this image. They're telling you yes to the strawberry. Then, oops, you're going to put these images into a Word document. Put at least 4 of them. Try to get them all on 1 page. I'm going to show you really quickly here what it looks like. Here it is. So you'll have all 4 images on 1 page. So it would be my strawberry over and over and over again. I fit them all into 1 page. I've already drawn on this one. Yours will just be the image. Okay. So you put them onto 1 page for your Word document. And then when you get all 4 of your image on there, you need to print them to the color printer. Make sure you switch over to the color printer. Color, color, color. Please don't print to the photo printer. Switch over to the color printer. Switch over to the color printer. Okay? You need to put 4 of your winning image onto one page because we're going to do this together. We are going to practice creating lines. They're going to be defined at first on Illustrator. We will make them implied at the end. We will get rid of that stroke line. Okay, we don't want to see the outline of every single triangle. But we will use lines, directional lines, to create implied lines at the end. And you'll see more what I mean as we get going. Okay, but we are using line. We'll be using the pen tool to create our triangles. Triangles fall under the category of 2 different things, polygon and geometric shape. Okay, a geometric shape is just those flat objects with regular edges. So think of your math shapes, circles, squares, triangles. Within geometric shapes, we are working with polygons. Polygons are 2D geometric shapes, right? They at least have 3 straight sides. So you can see that they go up. This has 3, this guy has 5, and so on. They go up with the number of sides. You can have regular polygons, irregular polygons. You may end up seeing some wonky shapes in your low poly image. The goal is for us to have 90% of it be triangles. Okay, 90%. I understand that every once in a while a few values touch that look really similar and maybe create some weird rhombus square. I get that, okay? But 90% of your image should be triangles. That is the polygon we are using. We will use triangles. We will repeat them over and over and over again to create a rhythm, which is just the repetition of an object. For this case, it is the triangle, repeating over and over and over again to create that nice rhythm. We will use that repetition of the triangle, hopefully to create a form. So when we're looking at your object, we're going to talk about the way that it bends, how it goes back into space, even though it is a print. We're working on a 2D surface, but we want it to look 3-dimensional, okay, which is a form. It has height, width, and depth, has volume. Whew, okay. We'll talk more about this and when we get ready to trace. Am I missing anything here? I don't think so. Okay, so for now, you're done with this video. Make sure you do part 1 here, just past it. Find 3 landscape-oriented images, 3 portrait-oriented images, save them to your folder in the OneDrive and your digital design to your low poly folder. And then once you get your images, go to Schoology and post on that discussion board, okay? All of the information you need is right here. 2 images, landscape, 2 images, portrait. Respond to 2 posts. Tell people why, and do not comment on a post that has more than 2 comments, okay? When you get 2 pieces of good feedback, finalize your image, print it on the color printer, where 4 of that image is repeated onto 1 page. And then go ahead and click on the next video, okay? We will do this together in that next video.